Okay, welcome everybody to the Safe Haven AMA. Today we have with us Adam, who is going to be telling us about Qatar Fan Club. Adam, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dumbledore. Always a pleasure here, and I get to have the pleasure of being hosted by Dumbledore the Great. So I'm excited to be here,
Classic
man.
already.
Um, so so a little bit about myself before I get into the QFC, which someone in the comments, by the way, said it sounded like.
No. Adam, so
I'm back.
sorry. Freaking muted
I'm
you.
alive.
I was looking at your logo, and while you're talking, I'm looking at it, and it makes me feel like you're talking to me. And then I muted you by accident. I don't know what happened. Go ahead, man. So sorry.
Hey, but you know what? The logo works, so that's what it was
True
supposed to
story.
do, I
True
guess.
story.
So I think that's a good segue into introducing everyone to myself. If they're like, "Why is this guy just talking so casually with, the person hosting?" It's because we're all friends here, right? Whether there's a span of miles or whether we grew up in the same cities, it doesn't matter.
There you
We're
go.
all friends here, but we're also here to talk about new projects. So I'm really happy to be able to present Qatar Fan Club today. I'm their spokesperson. My name's Adam. A little bit about me. I won't spend too much time, but a little bit about me. So I've been in crypto since about 2017. Really got interested and really got into the rabbit hole in 2020. From there, I learned a lot about crypto through YouTube, actually, funny enough, and really just kind of got interested, got engaged in some communities that were affiliated with ApeSwap. And from then, I ended up being a marketing manager for multiple different projects. One thing led to another, kept doing that, but then I really started expanding into voice representation because I love it. It's a lot of fun to me. So that brings me to today. So the Qatar Fan Cup team, specifically JD, the CEO of the team, reached out to me and said, "Hey, we love your work. We'd love to be able to have you represent us because my English is terrible." And I said, "All right, well, that's fine, but I'm like extra, you know, careful about the projects that I take on, especially with all the rugs going on and things like that." So actually, this week I started implementing a new system where I'm not a KYC company by any means, obviously, but I have all new projects jump on video chat with me. I record that video chat and I have them explain a little bit about their project. So I'm going to expand that process out as well because I think it just helps build in a little bit more security. But I just like to add in that. Now, enough about me. When we go into the actual team, I wanted to speak about the guy that we kind of alluded to, JD. So, who is JD? Well, JD, he is a crypto enthusiast. He has been involved in crypto one way or another for, oh, geez, multiple years, but not so much as a project owner, but more in the sense of like an investor. So he's been, into day trading. He's been into, like investing in different projects that he believes in, but he never really saw an opportunity to create a new project that he really wanted to like go to the place he wanted to until now. So obviously, we all know the World Cup is going to be in Qatar this year. It's going to happen in November, in fact, and you're going to start seeing, if you haven't already, a influx of Qatar focused, FIFA focused, like World Cup type projects. So I'll say that as far as full transparency, both he and I obviously know that this is not a novel idea, right? This is a token that's topical to the situation in which it finds itself in. So with that in mind, it's not innovative, but it's simple. So I'm actually going to share just like the landing page. I'm going to go ahead and share screen, and here we go. Okay, so simple landing page, but also pretty to the point, right? So first and foremost, the thing that they put emphasis on is security. So you can see here, they have their SAFU badge, audits, KYCs, all that sort of stuff. But what about actual utility? Well, excuse me. When it comes to utility, first of all, everything is tied into one token. So the QFC token runs and is the heartbeat for really everything here. So you can see their NFT, marketplace, their mini games, their referral program, staking, predict and earn, which is the big piece here. So with that predict to earn, you're going to be able to earn rewards. How those rewards basically work, which I think this actually does a little bit better explanation of that. Yeah, here we go. So you can see here, like with those rewards, right? How it'll work is, think about this. Like every time you do a transaction on BSC, you're incurring some sort of tax, right? Like 10 cents, 20 cents, whatever. Well, instead, what this project is doing is they're saying, well, let's have these mini games. Let's have these bets that you can place on teams in the World Cup. Let's have the wins and losses determined by points. So if you win, you'll get a certain amount of points for that match, dependent upon the odds. And then you can convert 10,000 points, once you reach 10,000 points, into 100 QFC tokens. So basically 1% of whatever amount of points you have over 10,000. You're going to be able to convert that over to 100 QFC tokens. So once you have those tokens, you can do whatever you want with them, right? So you can use those tokens to buy NFTs. You can, sell them, whatever you'd like to do. But just know that you're not going to be hit with taxes on a ton of different, avenues. It's just going to be when you're buying, when you're selling, and that's it, right? It's not going to be in the other areas as well. So now again, as far as like utility, is a very simple project. There's not a lot of pizzazz or anything like that. It's very easy to understand, but that's also kind of good, because this is going to be targeted for folks that, yes, are in the crypto space, but also people that maybe they interact with at the World Cup, in fact. So they can say, hey, you know what, we have this project. It's specific around fans of this event. Here's a free shirt, which is something they want to do. And scan this QR code, and it's going to take you to my referral link, which they have a downline referral system. You're going to be able to sign up, and then you're going to be able to purchase these tokens if you want, to then be able to participate in all four of these things. So you're going to be able to buy NFTs, which they're planning to have some really cool NFT sets that they're looking to launch later on. Right now, it's just kind of like a starter set, basically. They're going to have a staking platform where you can earn some nice APY, because it's going to be compounding. They're, of course, going to have their kind of like crown jewel of the project, the prediction system that you're going to be able to bet on matches. And they're going to have a mini game, like a basic little soccer type fan game. Now I say soccer and everyone's cringing because it's football for everywhere else in the world, but I'm gonna say soccer because I'm in the U.S. and you are too. So I won't get yelled at. But I think you are. I don't know. I could be wrong. You could, maybe not. But whatever. Yeah, see, so it's one of those things. I'm gonna call it soccer, but anyways, that's in a nutshell what Qatar Fan Cup is all about. It really just distills down to these four things here, and it's just having that come alive through active marketing and then also exposure at the actual event, which they plan to do as well.
Okay, awesome. All right, so how big is this team? Where are they all from?
Good question. I didn't get the exact location of JD, but I can tell somewhere in Asia, just based off the accent, somewhere in Asia, somewhere around those parts. I can tell you that as far as the team, it's rather small, but it's kind of on purpose, because when you're starting up a new project, especially if it's maybe one of your first or so, you don't have capital from previous projects, right? This is something that was kind of just bootstrapped by his own money, and also he, reached out to friends and things like that, and also got a little capital there as well to be able to, get things going. So it's really a team of about 5 or so. So it's himself, JD, of course, he's the CEO. They also have business developers and community leaders as well, which you'll find at the bottom of the website. The developer, this is the most important piece, I think. The developer, his name's Trinos. He's a Pink Sale Safu developer, so that's pretty important to make note of, because they're using an actual external trusted developer, not someone that they just hired off the street or someone that they say is very trusted within their team. It's someone that's from Pink Sale, the Pink Sale team. So he's also one of the more experienced devs on that team. And what's cool is, yes, they have a KYC and audit, right? We have them here, which, no issues there. But also on top of that, if you go to if you look at kind of what Safu entails, it means that not only does the developer need to be one from their SAFU list, but also they need to do internal checks to make sure that if this audit didn't catch something, they're able to kind of catch that. So again, it's not guaranteed, but it's additional checks. And that's really the biggest point of failure is usually a project's developer, right? Usually, unfortunately, the developers are the ones that rug, or sometimes it's a combination of like the CEO that is the developer and, promise to the moon and back, so on. And then it ends up flopping because, they were just talking a big game and then they ended up taking those funds, unfortunately. So I think the SAFU badge is pretty genius because it's saying let's take away that piece that most investors are worried about and let's add in a little bit more security through a trusted third party. Now again, does that guarantee the prevention of all rugs? Heck no. You can still soft rug, there can still be vulnerabilities, things can still happen, but it's adding in just that little bit of extra security, which is always nice to see. So that's really the team. Also here, like if you scroll down, like I'd mentioned, you can kind of meet the rest of the team. So JD, Yen Paul, Janelia. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Janelia. So the only thing I don't appreciate here is I'm an Android guy, so these Apple, whatever these things are called, they make me cry inside. But besides that, no, I'm kidding. But I just want to say that that's the team. And then also for marketing, they're actually partnering up with Karan, which is a good friend of, I think, all of us here. Very, very well-respected marketing partner on the Pink Sale Preferred list. Also a close friend of myself. I think he's pretty good friends with you as well, Dumbledore, and I know Achilles as well.
Karan, man. Yeah. Like, just the short time spoken with him, I just like him.
He's just a nice dude, and then you cannot interact with him without getting pictures of his dog. So I think that's half of it, which is awesome. But
I haven't seen his dog yet, but yeah.
Oh, dude. Okay, you're missing out then. You gotta message him and ask. He adopted. I don't want to get too far off here, but I love dogs. But he adopted quite a few dogs like off the streets of like India, and they're the cutest things in the world, bro. It's just so sweet.
I like that.
Man, he's a down to earth guy. But anyways, personal friend and also very, very competent marketer. He's filled multiple soft caps, multiple fair launches, pre-sales, all those things on specifically Pink Sale. And the team wanted him, and that's actually how they found me, was through him. So it's a nice little system. But anyways, that's basically the team. That's what's here. I do want to make mention again, although you're hearing my voice, although you're seeing what I'm sharing here again, I'm not part of the team. The benefit of them hiring me is, first of all, I take it from an investor approach, right? So if I don't understand something, I'm very blunt about it. If I think something's stupid, I will tell them, this is stupid, please change this. Like, this doesn't make sense. I wouldn't invest in this, right? And I've made multiple suggestions on this project. And honestly, JD doesn't get defensive, which is great. He's like, oh, that's actually a good idea. Like, let's implement that. Like, I gave him some ideas around shirts and stuff, and he's like, yeah, like that's like really cool. Let's explore that, right? It's a lot cheaper than doing something crazy that's going to cost us $20,000-$30,000 for like, Times Square ad or something like that. That's not even going to be effective. So anyways, that's a little bit about the team. We gave like kind of the prelude of what the project's all about in simple forms. I'd love to go into tokenomics if that's cool.
Yeah, go into it.
Awesome. So if we go into the, by the way, you can get to where I'm at, anyone listening. If you go to the white paper, you're going to be able to see basically this, just a little bit further breakdown of what we're talking about. So, of course, we see that SAFU badge, not just the badge, but also the checks that they do. Trinos, who is the developer. So what I wanted to say here is if we scroll down a little bit more, tokenomics right here. So total supply of 100 million. Of course, the token is QFC in shorthand, Qatar Fan Cup. Earmarked for fair launch is basically 30% of total supply. We have about 17.64% for liquidity tokens being added in. Exchange tokens is about 10% that has an unlock of end of next month. We also have an end of next month for the staking, development, marketing, all of those are unlocking end of next month. And then after that, the month after, we have the prediction game allocation, the fan game allocation, and then also the partnership allocation. And then we also have some unlocking as well the month after. So it's spaced pretty reasonably, and it's also spaced to unlock in tandem with when it's needed, which is great. Now, when we look at like, some of these allocations, I'm not going to read through all these, kind of, boring, right? I'm just reading numbers. But what I do want to say is the ones that tend to scare the most people is usually the team tokens, which here we go. So 3%. Again, those are locked, right? So let me do the math real quick. I'm sure everyone here is better at math than me. I require a calculator. You may not. So 100,000 tokens times, what is that, 3%? That would put us at 3 million. So let's find that here. Okay, so those are locked for the next 2 months. After 2 months, they unlock, and then they have the ability to sell. Now, to be honest, even if the team promises, no, we're never going to sell, you can trust us, like, whatever, like, okay, maybe, right? Like, if the team has delivered in the first month and a half and like they're really, really making progress, then you can feel pretty good about them potentially not selling. But if they're like, like not doing anything and there's barely any, change in the project, I would be very wary, because when those team tokens unlock, as you or I would, if we, have something, you may want to sell it. So just be very careful, because this isn't a TGE. This isn't a linear unlock for those team tokens. It's a straight unlock. So again, what I would say is, always do your own research, always, invest whatever, you feel comfortable. But what I personally, as an investor, and the way that I take this is, I would always look for progress being made in those 2 months. If it's not being made, I'm not going to invest more. And I think JD won't even be upset that I'm saying that, which, whatever. But like, I think that that's important, is if you're not seeing progress, during that span of time when there's an unlock between when it launches, you probably shouldn't invest anymore. And you should probably consider maybe selling as you get closer to that unlock. If things are going well, no, hold on if you want, right? So, I just want to make sure everyone has their eyes on those locks, because it's very important. I know a lot of projects sometimes going in, they won't even want to mention it, but because I'm representing it, we're talking about it. Like it's something valuable to go over, because investors should feel as safe as possible. And if they don't feel safe, then don't invest, right? That's the important thing. So, anyways, that's one facet of the unlocks here. Some other things too is what I look at whenever I'm investing is the liquidity percentage. So we can see, they went to the minimum and then some. So 60% liquidity add, which is reasonable, right? They could go higher. They could go 70, 80, even 90%. But the reason why they might not necessarily do that is you do still want some money to run marketing with in post. So they already had their, money that they bootstrapped to be able to do marketing initially, but you also need money to be able to do after marketing as well, which actually helps to push the token price further as well. So to do that, you need to be able to take some of that percentage that's left over from the liquidity ad. So he has access now to 40% of whatever the raise is past soft cap. If we don't hit soft cap, then you got to relaunch. So the cool thing here is we already opened the doors about an hour ago, and we're already at like 16 BNB. So very likely, very, very likely that we continue on and that we hit that 25 BNB soft cap. What's great is as long as that soft cap is hit, green light, ready to go. And also, it's actually kind of beneficial if this sort of stays as like a hidden gem. Because if it does, that means those people that got into the fair launch right now, and let's say it only oversubscribes by like 10 BNB or 15 BNB, because it's going to be open for 4 days. So let's say it only oversubscribes by a little bit. I mean, JD might be like, oh man, I wish we got more people. But the people invested are like, oh, heck yeah. Like I'm getting even more value for my BNB now because it's a fair launch. So it's kind of beneficial in that sense. And that's why also, if you ever see projects that are doing 1,000 BNB soft cap or something nuts like that, they're out of their mind. It's crazy. Like it might reach that. In fact, a lot of times, you are able to do that when the market's doing better. But like, what are you doing? Like you have to have buy pressure, and how you have buy pressure is by, ensuring that you're doing proper marketing in lead up and then also day of, but then also that your soft cap isn't crazy. You need to make sure to have a reasonable soft cap like we have here. So I just wanted to walk through, from an investor standpoint, what people tend to think about, what I think about when I'm investing, and kind of take that in mind as you've heard what we've already talked about as far as utility, as you've heard about, kind of what the long-term plan is kind of having this all ready and working and functional in prep for November, so that way it's ready to go for the World Cup. I did just want to touch, now that we've covered, the tokenomics, I'd love to cover the actual token taxes. So how much does it actually cost to get involved here? So what I wanted to say first is, before we jump into the normal taxes, there is actually an event right now that's going on. If you jump over to the official Qatar Fan Cup page, what you'll actually see is there's kind of like a grand opening, I think they're calling it. Yeah, literally grand opening. A grand opening cashback event. So basically, if you're one of the top 100, for the top 100 buyers. So if you're one of the first 100 buyers, you're going to be able to, in this fair launch, you're going to be able to get a cashback bonus. So basically, if you invest 1 BNB, you'll get 3 BNB back. 3%, not 3 BNB back. My God, that'd be like a Ponzi. No, if you invest 1 BNB, you get 3% back in BNB cashback, all the way up to 10 BNB, in which you're getting 10% BNB cashback. So it's kind of a cool thing, right? You're getting actual BNB back, even though you're contributing BNB. It's just as a thank you and to kind of build in some excitement and fun for this launch. So that being said, let's actually get into token taxes before we get too ahead of ourselves here. So we can see here, like we talked about, total supply of 100 million. Something else is there's actually tokens that have been, no, never mind. Sorry. I was thinking something else. So yeah, going into the token taxes, pretty simple. So 5% on buy, 10% on sell. Offset's pretty reasonable because you want to make sure that it's more favorable for people buying than selling. So we can see here in the buy percentages, we have 1% going to auto liquidity ad, 2% going back in BNB rewards, and 2% going to marketing. 10%, it's offset higher because it's going to, instead of 1%, it's going 2% to auto liquidity ad on PancakeSwap, 4% going back to holders as far as BNB rewards, and then 4% going to the marketing fund. So again, that comes out to 5% buy, 10% sell. Pretty reasonable. You're not in the 20s, you're not in the 15s. And also something that's great is you're not going to be able, the developer isn't going to be able to mint additional tokens or do anything like that because it was an external developer, right? Trinus did that. So that's the cool thing is, the tokens you see in the distribution are the tokens you're going to get. There's not going to be more than 100 million. It's not a rebase token or something crazy like that. That's a little bit about the token fees, tokenomics, kind of how to read this. What makes sense here, and I'll kind of give it back to you. I've been talking a bit, so I want to make sure if there's any clarification that I should do.
You're answering all my questions as usual, like what you do to Achilles as you go along. And man, I do appreciate the transparency of all of it, and just the education as well. Just as you how you see it as an investor is kind of important to hear. Yeah, I mean, everything you've gone into is great. Safu is excellent for a project like this, just being that it is revolving around a event, that happens in November. And after that, who knows where it goes from there. But, that's an excellent way to get investors in. But yeah, I appreciate that. As you guys all know, nothing here is financial advice, always DYOR. Do jump in there, TG, and check out what's going on with the buy-in that they're giving you. But what I was going to ask Adam is, so how will they plan to market this outside of TG? Any plans to try to market to World Cup people themselves? Hello.
Yeah, I was just talking to myself there for a second. Sorry, that was on my side. No, I was just going to say that we kind of alluded to it at the beginning, and I'm happy you brought it back as far as how are we going to actually reach people outside of crypto? That's always the $1 million question, and promised and promised and promised by so many projects. Oh, we're going to market to people outside of crypto. Come on, let's be real. 80% of your friends in any of our circles don't know anything about crypto. They know about Bitcoin. They might know about Ethereum, but they just know that it's internet money that's tied to something, and it's something with the blockchain. I don't really know. That's it, right? Nobody knows about the Binance Smart Chain outside of the niche groups that we're in, right? When you think about it,
Yeah.
nobody, nobody understands it. So making it simple is very, very important if you're going to try to create mass adoption. So couple different ways you can do this for a token like this that is specific to like sports. So you could go the approach where you just lie. That's an approach a lot of tokens revolving around, this World Cup are going to do. Oh, we signed a deal with so on. We're doing a sponsorship deal with this, soccer superstar or something. No, you didn't. That didn't happen, right? Like either you photoshopped it or you're just lying about it or something. It didn't happen unless you're an established multi-million market cap project that has a provable working product. You did not do that. So just so a word of warning for anyone interested in like those type of projects, no one in their right mind who's a professional athlete would ever put their name on something like this because it doesn't make sense. If they're established, yes, maybe, but also that's probably extremely expensive. But anyways, with that in mind, what can you do, and what is this project wanting to do? Well, what they're looking to do is actually do shirts. So I know it sounds kind of silly, but it's pretty cool. So they're looking to have Qatar Fan Cup shirts. So here's the good thing is when I see a shirt, and if I'm going to the event, I'm walking to the event, right, from the parking lot through all the different, mazes of different stands and stuff to get to the actual doors of the event. There's space there. There's restaurants. There's things like that, right? There's things going on. Well, or even just stands of stuff. They're going to find a strategic spot within that walk path and then hand out free shirts. And they're going to say, hey, welcome to the event. We're giving out shirts for those people that are fans of, the Qatar World Cup. There's a QR code on the back. If you scan that, you can learn more about, something that can help you earn while being a fan during this event. Well, as you can imagine, there's a little bit of downtime between matches. There's, let me get up and get some food or whatever. Like, okay, well, I have some downtime now. What is this thing on the back of this shirt that I got? You scan it with your phone. It takes you to the DApp. Now, the DApp, of course, it says connect your wallet, but they don't know what that means. So instead, it's going to be an informational video explaining the process of, first of all, what is this? Why did you get this shirt? What is it? What does this mean? Right? Like a quick little, too long, didn't read, like elevator pitch of what Qatar Fan Cup is all about. And then it's going to have the option to be able to on-ramp, in an easy method. So they're still working out exactly what would be best because maybe they go the trust wallet approach, right? And then they have you buy in there. But then sometimes for like Apple users, I don't think you can even use the web browser in trust wallet. They might have added that back, but I don't know if that's there again. So like things like that, like they need to make sure that it's easy to use and easy to buy BNB. Once you have BNB, boom, easy. You can walk through the rest of the process, but it's getting that's the hard part. So they're going to work out a system that works best. They have time to do that, which is great. But the idea is there. The idea is there, and that actually, I helped synthesize that idea with JD. Even though I'm just consulting, like I'm not on the team, I'm still in, like, I like to see myself, like I said, as an investor. Even if I'm not investing or if I am investing, it doesn't matter. I'm speaking about the project. So I have to view it from someone who's potentially thinking about investing. Like, what are things that I would want to see? And he was very open to that. And also, I've never seen it done before. So as I say that, right now that it's in the public space, I'm sure someone's going to steal it and do it. But cool, you can have the booth next to JD's. That's fine. Who cares, right? But we were the first ones with the idea. So anyways, that is going to be a low-cost means of getting that exposure. When I say low cost, it's still going to cost a couple $1,000s. Get the ticket, the amenities, all that stuff, get the shirts. But we're talking 5,000 versus 20,000 for a shout out from a soccer superstar or something, which is very hard to even get to that step. So anyways, that's really what I would say is the biggest thing. On top of that, traditional marketing in crypto, of course, call channels, AMAs such as this one, contests. They have an airdrop campaign going live with rewards like dropping in the next couple months, like all sorts of stuff like that. But your question was outside of crypto, so hopefully that answered that. That's really the approach that they're using.
Yeah, no, great answer. I was thinking the whole time you're talking about these shirts. I'm like, yeah, man, just scan it in and okay, yeah, connect your wallet. And it's like, what? Like, good luck. Like people having a beer.
Hell no.
they're getting, they're excited for the game. They're going to sit here like, all right, I gotta use my MetaMask. I got to use my trust wallet for the BNB to MetaMask. Like, who knows?
You're speaking a different language if you do that. Yeah, no, it's literally just inviting them to learn about it. It's almost like, how do I teach you about crypto in less than a minute? It's really hard to do, but it's possible, right?
Whoever can simplify that video for a drunk person to watch it and buy the crypto with that is like, they can do it. They can do it because it is actually brilliant. Lucky the people that get to go hand out the shirts at the World Cup also, like getting the tickets.
Seriously.
That's pretty cool. Billboards may not be a bad thing either. I don't know, like what it would cost in like a country. Where is it at? Is it in Ecuador? Is it in
Qatar is in the Middle East, if my geography is correct.
I thought it was in
Ecuador. Could be wrong,
for some reason. I looked it up today, and I thought it said that because I was like, yeah, why is it Qatar? Is it in Qatar? But I
think it's near. I think it's near UAE, but I could be very wrong. So
I follow no soccer, and I call it soccer. So obviously, I'm not a true.
we're bad ambassadors for the U.S.
Bad ambassadors for like if it was anything else, honestly, except baseball as well. I hate baseball, but it is obviously the biggest sport in the world, the most popular one. Us ignorant Americans, we can't understand it. So
we do what we can. Yeah, it's like northwest of UAE, so it's like it's like in the Persian Gulf right there.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, if they can do a breakdown video that can just get it in just less than a minute, that'd be excellent.
Yeah, and also talking about sustainability too, like as far as long term, like you had mentioned, and I think it's important to speak about is like, well, this is what about after the World Cup? I mean, it's a big event, but like then it's done. Like what then? What then, right? So I think what's cool is like the name obviously stays the same because the token is there, right? It's tied into the name. But I think what you can then be pivoting into is like it can be a big focus around every World Cup and then also like betting on high profile games in between. So you're not betting on every single soccer match, but you're betting on the soccer matches that are like the biggest ones. There's always like those like big rivalries or those like games that everyone wants to see. Like you can have those. You can maybe have like during soccer season, you could have like a couple throughout the month or even throughout the quarter, and those are the focus. And in the meantime, people are playing the PDE game, which is going to be launching. They're trading, buying, selling NFTs. The NFT marketplace as well, I didn't even mention, is a open sports marketplace for NFTs. So it's just focused on the niche of sports. It is not focused on just soccer. It's focused on any sports can list their NFT, sports-focused NFTs can list their NFT on the platform and it's showcased there, which is kind of cool. It's not mixed in with everything else. It's just sport-focused NFTs. And also these NFTs that this project has right now, they're pretty basic, right? They're nothing like crazy. They're not going to be like, wow, look at that art style. It's amazing. They're very simple. They're kind of like fun and like silly. But as they continue additional mints, as they have new series and stuff like that, they're going to then have the budget to be able to open up to new artists, to be able to get like some really like nice artwork on those NFTs. So I just wanted to speak a little bit to that because sustainability isn't mine. It is still an investment, but I would just say especially you're probably going to see the biggest return on this during the World Cups, and then the time in between would be a perfect time to consider like staking or participating in the mini games, things like that.
Yeah, depending on how it goes, I guess during the World Cup, it'll show if they're going to do more of this in the future. Yeah, I'm looking at NFTs. I mean, they're cute and everything. People who love soccer, man, they'll love this. Like regardless, just like whoever nails the soccer crypto coin, like. They'll do great. I see a lot of them come through, but none with the Safu badge and all this. So that's kind of nice to see, especially being that they're going to be publicizing it like a world event like that. Like it would be the biggest rug ever.
It would be. So it's one of those things where like that's why I started at the beginning just saying like this is not a new idea. Like this is something that whether it be not so much for like big American events, but like for like global events, like I'm surprised we don't see like more cricket coins and stuff. But soccer is kind of like the world sport, right? So that's why there's so many projects around that, around like FIFA or different, football type things. But yeah, I mean, you want to see something that is secure. So that's why instead of like, oh, we're the best, it's like, no, we're an option, but we're one of the most secure, which is great. And then past the security, it's up to the investor to kind of decide with their own money, like, hey, do I invest in this? Do I think about it? Do I join the Telegram first and then deeply research and then consider investing after asking questions? I would go that route because then like, okay, I feel a little bit better. I understand where my investment's going, what the plans are, and so on. We actually just had an opening ceremony too before this, and that's where we opened the doors and we got like within a couple of minutes we reached like 10 BNB and then 15 BNB and little contributions here and there, but they're adding up. Like when we stopped that, we were at like I think 15, and now we're at 42 with 4 days left. So
Nice.
Still plenty of time.
Very nice. Well, we have been eating up a lot of time. I see everyone's asking to unmute them in the comment section. So, guys, if you have some questions, please one at a time and don't speak over each other. But whoever first would like to go and ask Adam a question, please go right ahead. Bull, Divine.
Right. Thank you. May I start?
Hello.
You're up first.
My question. All right. My question is on the tokenomics. I went through the website and I have read that there are some certain percentage that is allocated to the team, some percentage allocated to the exchange, and also some percentage allocated to the staking. What caught my attention is that 13%, 12.36% of the token, which is allocated to the staking, would be unlocked in a month. That is, it would be unlocked on 21st September 2022. And at that same day, 10% would also be unlocked, making it 22.36% that is going to be unlocked on that same day. And before that, on 21st or on 20th of September, another 5% would be unlocked. Therefore, when we put that together, more than 37% of the token would be unlocked in a month, which means even if the team said they will not, they will not dump the chat, I think it would bring, let's say, it will raise fear in the investors' mind, because so much token would be unlocked at the same time. So I like more explanation about that, and if it is possible, I would advise the team to, let's say, to adjust the unlock time. Maybe the percentage allocated to be unlocked should be, let's say, reduced to 3% or something less than that, because the entire liquidity is only or the entire liquidity holds only 17% of the token. So I think this is a little bit let's say concerned. It drops my attention. That is why I'm asking. Thank you very much.
That was a fantastic question. So you were asking in regards to the unlocks that are happening kind of at the same time for specific sections here. So like I had mentioned, right? Two different things, right? Like you don't want everything to unlock on the same day. That is clearly a problem. But when you have it kind of spaced out like this, it's still not perfect. I agree with you. It's not perfect. But for the use case that they have, this is the way in which JD wanted the tokens to unlock. I agree. It's not perfect. I would have rather had, right, like maybe a TGE unlock, perhaps, right? So that way it's like a tiered unlock. So you're getting a certain amount, you're getting a certain amount, you're getting a certain amount. Since it's already been established, this is the way in which he wanted it to go. So unfortunately, I'm not a developer. I'm not part of the team, so I'm not able to have that influence on how they adjust their lock periods, their lock cycles. But I have made the mention as well, and JD's very confident in the fact that these are locked in the way in which the use case needs them. So I would say, if you have specific questions as to like, hey, what I would ask, honestly, as an investor is, okay, this token seems like okay, like I'm considering investing, but the unlocks might concern me. Well, if that's the case, I would definitely consider joining the Telegram and making it known, hey, I'd love for you guys to lock these tokens that are unlocking that might necessarily not be needed right away. Like, for example, like, do we need all the exchange tokens right away? Probably not. So maybe let's lock half of them. And then when we do another exchange, we can unlock the other half, right? So it requires more like investment of time, but I would say it could potentially be useful to be able to air that concern. And like, JD is obviously hearing as well. So this can be something that, is known as a concern outside of just like me and a couple people. Like, I think that's important, right? So can it be changed now? No. But can it be changed after in the form of relocking? Yeah. So I would say definitely bring that concern over to the official Telegram and just make sure to make mention because, again, it's a very receptive dev. I've worked with, 25 plus teams now, maybe even more. I think like 30 teams in AMAs. And some of them are awesome, like JD. Some of them are very close-minded and think that they know everything. And they are very smart usually. But marketing is a different animal, right? Public perception is a different animal. You have to understand these things and have them coalesce into like proper action. So what I would say is just put plain and simple. I think that's also a valid concern. I think it's a good question. I don't have an answer for you because the answer comes by changing things. I can't change them, unfortunately. But what I can say is, as far as like an answer that I can give you, is the way JD set it up is the way in which he wants the tokens to work and unlock to be able to have utility. So like, for example, when the staking unlock happens, that's when the staking platform is ready, and that's when those tokens are going to be entered in. But yeah, I would still, even so, I would still bring it over to the chat and then ask some further questions because I think that was a good one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good question, Bull Rider.
Definitely.
Okay. Anyone else? Do they have a question for Adam?
Yeah, just a quick one. Can I go ahead?
Babyface, go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, hi Adam. Good one, good one,
Hey,
good presentation, man. Yeah, good presentation. So lovely, Amy. So first of all, I got a couple of questions. So you mentioned the team, and I can see from their website, this is their first project, if I understand. Yeah, of course, they've been investors in the crypto space, but this is their first project. Just like they have you as a consultant, do they have anybody on the team consulting with them that has got experience in this kind of projects?
That's a great question. I would say the biggest one and the most important to the success or failure is the developer. So the fact that they're consulting with and working with a developer from PinkSale, Trinos, who allowed them to then have the SAFU badge, because you can only get this if you're using a PinkSale developer for your contract. If you don't, then you cannot get this. It's not just something you pay for. So that definitely is helping because they're able to get some additional insight on the token. They're able to get some additional insight into like changes or modifications or things that might be needed to be done after, let's say. Of course, they're consulting with me. I'm not part of the team, just like Trinos is not part of the team, but we're helping. We're giving our voice to it, literally in the sense of me. And then, of course, we have Karan as well, which is doing external marketing. So you hear a lot of external, but when we go to the team, you'll see a team that like really wants to make this happen. So, they're putting their own expertise, they're putting their own money in to be able to make sure that this, runs the way it should. But at the end of the day, it comes down to investors, right? So if the investors see the value add, if they know that the most critical point of failure is like done externally through PinkSale, it adds some security. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it just adds some security. So in that sense, yes. But no, they don't have like I guess you could say like an advisor would be like kind of the position you're speaking about. They don't have that, but also like, I mean, you wouldn't really get an advisor for this type of project, to be honest. Like if it's a meme token or like a fan-based token or like an event-based token, advisors aren't cheap. Like it's not a like a couple $100 thing, right? So if you're launching like a absolutely massive project, like a huge thing, then yeah, you have a little bit more space, but you still have to have startup capital. So that's not to say that they don't want to make this big. They do, but they're not having it go in with the mindset of we have $300,000 to spend. Let's get the best of everything. They're saying like strategically, let's spend our money, even if it costs a lot of money, Marketing is not cheap. I'm also not cheap, by the way. There's a lot of people that do like voice chat stuff, and you might have encountered them in other AMAs. I'm not gonna put myself above anyone, but very few people go to the length that I do to understand the projects and also interview the projects, which I just started doing recently on video chat, to be able to actually put a face to the name. Because I would in the past get like a voice, just a phone call in or something like that, because maybe the developer's a little shy or doesn't, whatever, something. But now I just don't take on projects. Like literally as of this week, I just do not take on any projects that don't do a video call with me that I'm recording, because it doesn't make sense, right? There's too much junk in this space. There's just too much going on. So it just makes more sense. Even if I'm losing business, I don't care, right? Like I can live without that money. I would rather just have more safety for investors. So that was a long form answer to your question, but as far as consultants, that's the approach they're taking. So there actually is a lot of consulting in specific areas, but not an overall advisor for the project, I guess you could say.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for the answer. Right. So another question quickly. So I understand that they're going to have an NFT marketplace, as you said, and this is going to be niche to sporting events. Other projects that are in the niche can basically list their NFTs on the NFT marketplace. So does this project, first of all, have their own NFTs? I see some NFTs on the website, but is it something that they are selling right now? That's number one. Number two, are there rarity levels to these NFTs? And do they have anything such that if I get a certain NFT with a certain kind of rarity, I basically can, go to the World Cup, do something of such nature?
Oh, man. If we end up doing that, we're going to have to credit you for that idea. But what I can say is no. But plain no. Like these are NFTs that are very simple. They're just collect the NFTs, different rarity levels, determine price. You can't buy them just yet, but you're going to be able to buy them once the DApp goes live. So, pretty soon after launch, you're going to be able to purchase those and collect them and sell them. And then later on in the roadmap, you're going to be able to then sell those NFTs on an open marketplace that isn't just soccer based or football, right? It isn't just, traditional football base. It's going to be all sports. So you're going to get exposure to new NFTs. People are going to get exposure to this project's NFTs because they're listing their NFTs there. It's going to be a really cool environment. So yeah, but as far as added value, does it give you access to the World Cup? Does it give you special characters in the P2E game? No. Again, this is a project that's made very simple and is doing what it can with the resources it has. So in that sense, I appreciate their transparency, and that also allows me to be as transparent as possible, which I love to do. So in that sense, I respect it a ton, but also you have to be realistic and know that we're not integrating in NFTs in that specific way. But the World Cup idea, I like that. I really like that. So what I would encourage you to do, because honestly, I want to make sure you get credit for that, because to be honest, you join in so many AMAs, I join in so many. I want to make sure if they actually go with that idea that you get credit for it. So I would highly suggest joining the Telegram and just saying, hey, I had the idea for the for the World Cup tickets for the best NFT or the rarest NFT, if you hold it for this amount to this, whatever. It's your idea. It's your idea. Expand it if you want. If you don't, okay. But if you actually want to embrace that idea, I think it's cool. So those are the type of things that would be great to build communities off of. And if you actually join the Telegram, you'll see there were a lot of people there joined up earlier for the opening ceremony, a lot of people interested. And it's only going to grow as more AMAs happen, as more marketing happens, especially once they actually go live with their DApp, which is going to be a nice preview into what everything looks like. You can try it out for yourself. I actually think this would be a great time too to share screen on the actual preview of the DApp. I think that's kind of fun to see. So what I wanted to show you guys here is you can see this is a preview of what the DApp is going to look like. So you can see an overview on your investment portfolio, just basically showing how many wins, losses you've had, how many points you've earned from those win losses, how much you've earned from staking, essentially, your total balance, the amount that you can withdraw, how much you've earned, and then your referral downline. So there's a downline you can get from referrals, meaning that much like Drip or some other ones like that, if you invite someone and that person invites someone, you're still earning from the person they invited from, which is really cool. So yeah, that's a little bit about this project, and hopefully that answered your question.
Sure, it does. Thank you very much for the response, Adam. Cheers.
Of course, thank you. Of course.
All right, Babyface. I think we have time for one more question. Does anybody else on the VC have one? Otherwise, I do have some in the text.
Hello.
Favor, hello.
Yeah. Hello everyone. I want to ask the theme of the project, the name of the project, it sounds like something that is seasonal. So my question is how far do you want to push this project? Is it that it only has to do with the cup, the tournament, or is it beyond?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and at first glance, it's 100% seasonal. It doesn't even just seem like it's seasonal. It is seasonal, right? Like what happens after the Qatar World Cup, right? That's baked into the name. So I'll be honest here, right? Because again, investor standpoint, and I'm able to do this from being outside of the team. Maybe people on the team might not say this, but the biggest gain you're going to probably have, the biggest return on this project is going to be when the World Cup goes live. Right now, it's in its pre-sale phase, so you're getting it at a discount effectively. Once the World Cup goes live, it's going to probably surge up if the utility is working, which of course they already have everything like audited and kind of planned. But once the World Cup goes live and you're actually able to bet on these and you are actually able to see the videos of them passing out the shirts and encouraging people to invest, that is probably going to be its peak. Just to be completely honest, that's going to be its peak. After that, it might continue to go up, right? Or it might probably can go down a bit because now the big event is done, right? The Qatar Fan Cup is done. It's a short, like that short-term thing. The continued effort, especially if the community is also rallying behind it, is then shifting towards what about the next World Cup? Well, the World Cup doesn't happen every year, right? It doesn't happen every 3 months. So what do we do in between? Well, what we do in between is being able to bet on additional soccer matches, being able to bet on, those type of big events going on to kind of fill that time in between. But just being very transparent, the biggest gain you'll see both in bets and also in like your investment here is going to be around the actual around the actual event, which is the Qatar World Cup.
Right, that's fair enough. Thanks for being honest.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that question. Let me see. I think we have time for one last one, guys, if you have it. Otherwise, we will move on to our trivia questions. But let's see here. Yeah,
Hello?
Go right ahead, buddy. Hello.
Okay, thanks, Davido. Well, I just wanted to know, will there be sponsorship for events, like to market, like in aspect of marketing for this project, like charity, lottery, stuff like that? Is there plans for that?
Well, they're going to be incorporating the PDE games in like community building. So you'll see like, hey, we're giving away, maybe let's say like $1,000 worth of QFC tokens to the next winner in this mini game, right? This PDE game that we're going to be launching later. In that sense, yes. But as far as like charities and things, not really. Like you have to think like, you have to be careful with scope creep is what it's called, like in like programming and different things like that. Like you don't want to be too ambitious with what you're promising or what you're planning to do, because then nothing gets done right and it doesn't end up being good in any regard. So no, not really, right? It's going to be mainly focused on what we talked about, right? The betting system, the NFT marketplace, the staking, the referral system, that sort of stuff, and the PDE game. You're going to be able to participate in this, but outside of that, there's not really going to be any additional like utility, at least planned for right now. I would always just build off of what's in the white paper. Don't, or what's on the website. Don't like hope that there's going to be more than you see there. They might incorporate it, but I wouldn't bet on it. So I would just look for what's there.
Okay, that's nice.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Yeah, Adam, if there's anything you'd like to leave us with in closing before I end the recording, go right ahead.
So just a welcome, right? Anyone listening right now, I know that maybe this is a little unconventional of an AMA, right? Usually you hear super high-powered, CEOs of these crypto projects that are launching. Half of them end up rugging, the other 25% just soft rug, let's say, and then there's maybe a small sliver that absolutely moon, and it's insane. Why I love Achilles is if something goes wrong as far as a call or something, he's super good about like those refunds and it gets in front of it, which I have so much respect for. But also like, he doesn't take on just anything, right? Like, the proper questions come out during AMAs to kind of suss out like what is this about. But when you have someone presenting a project to you that is also letting you know that like, look, we're not going to promise you the moon. Like, here's exactly what we want to do. Here is the type of project this is, and here's why it might be beneficial to you. That's really what was talking about today. Like, and that's an advantage too. Is he could have had someone that maybe knew a little bit of English that he paid less money to be able to come on and only speak the positive. But like, I think people are smarter than that, right? Like everyone here knows that like projects aren't just positive. Like you should be excited. You should be, you should be like, excited for your investment, but you should understand why you should be excited for that investment. And I think that's kind of what we talked about today is like, there are some things to be excited about here, but there's also things that I want to see improved. And the only way they get improved is actually by going in to those Telegram groups and then saying, look, I'm considering dropping 3 BNB, 2 BNB, especially during the buybacks that's going on right now, not buyback, but the bonus that's going on right now where you can contribute up to 10 BNB and actually get BNB back for that purchase. But I'm not going to do that right now. In fact, I have 4 days to be able to make those contributions, which we all know, like I have on screen right here, it's open for the next 4 days. So you have plenty of time to be able to research and say, I have this money, I'm willing to put it in, but I first want this question answered. I first want a little bit more of an understanding of how this works or how that works or what you're going to be doing during like this phase or that phase. So that's really all I have to say is just a thank you for spending the time to be able to hear this today, and also a welcome to be able to learn more. We're also going to have a closing ceremony. Oh, I think getting some feedback there. I don't know if that's me or, but anyways, I was just going to say we're going to have a closing ceremony, in the not too distant future as well. So please join in if you like hearing about this. We're going to continue to talk about it in the Telegram as well. And I'll end there. Thank you so much, Dumbledore, as well. Absolute pleasure getting to actually speak to you some more. And I know this won't be the last time, my man.
No, man, it's great. I finally get to do an AMA with you. You're great as always. Thank you so much for
Thank you, man.
coming on today.
I appreciate you.
All right, I'm going to end the recording.